Hello and welcome to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg.
I'm Joel.
And you all know Teddy. He might not stay long because we took him for a big walk today and he's tired and sometimes he just likes to sleep on the floor by himself. So we'll see. But we are here today to talk about Reading with Pride. If you follow along, you know, every June we like to read queer books by queer authors and all of that stuff for Pride Month. So originally, we had been planning that today we were going to do our Q&A video and answer some of the questions that you all had for us. But over the last few days, I've gotten a bunch of people asking questions about what we're going to read for Pride Month. So we talked about it this morning and decided to jump this video to the front of the pack. So we're here. I have a long list because I'm a mood reader. I like to give myself options to pick from, but you have a very concise.
I have a long list. I don't know if I'll get to all of them because I know you're going to have some that I'm going to want to switch to.
Yeah,
So,
that's fair.
Yeah.
So
I'm here for your list.
And I'm here for your list. You have a good one. I'm really interested in it. So you can't see it, but I am wearing a Protect Trans Kid t-shirt from Montana Book Company. I'm sorry I bothered Teddy in order to show it off. And you have Read with Pride. There will be affiliate links to all of these books to bookshop.org. Where?
Down below.
Down below. And Teddy, that is hurting my calf. So you can go there to check out more information about every book or to order a copy. Basically, we're going to try to be quick about what each book is about, but we definitely wanted to share our list, and I know a lot of people wanted some inspiration. Okay, Teddy would like Down, so there we go. And otherwise, you can support your local independent bookstore. Again, I'm wearing a t-shirt from Montana Book Company. They are a great supporter of queer authors, queer books, fighting ban books, and all of that stuff. There are many queer-owned bookstores out there. I'd recommend choosing one of those. Yep. If you Google it, you can find lists of queer-owned bookstores that are out there. So, or of course, you could support your local library, which is also important. So, without further ado, shall we get to the list?
Let's do it.
The list.
The list.
The list.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go.
Okay. My first one is something that we got when we were in Ireland. It's A Bookshop of One's Own, How a Group of Women Set Out to Change the World by Jane Cholmeley. Beautiful cover as well. So, A Bookshop of One's Own is a love letter to the Silver Moon Bookshop, the champion of women writers in feminist literature on London's Charing Cross Road. Opened by Jane Cholmeley in Thatcher's Britain against a backdrop of misogyny and homophobia, this underdog business would defy the odds and grow to become the biggest women's bookshop in Europe. And it has a blurb from Sandy Toksvig, who used to host the Great British Bake Off.
I love Sandy.
I do too. I miss her.
Yeah, she is amazing.
Yeah, if we can't have Mel and Sue, I would have Sandy and Allison. That would be good. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to this, and it has beautiful end papers. Look at that. So
it's a beautiful cover too.
It is a beautiful cover, and I wish more books did this. Actually, we were just talking about that.
This.
I love this look for a book. Like, just do away with dust jackets, and I would be happy if books looked like this. And I feel like we would save a lot of paper, but I don't have receipts on that. Maybe it wouldn't. So that is my first book. What is your first book?
My first book is going to be He's to Die For. It was funny. I was flipping through Instagram and this came up and it's like, I'm going to go see if that's available. And I looked on Libro and it was an ALC for us.
Yes.
So, but it's going to be kind of a mix between Brooklyn Nine-Nine and
The Charm Offensive.
The Charm Offensive.
I pulled it up in front of me. So
it sounds like it could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. So it's with the quick description of it is Brooklyn Nine-Nine meets The Charm Offensive in this sparkling romantic murder mystery. It's murder cute in the first degree when a detective finds himself falling for the lead suspect in a career-making case.
Just happens every day.
Every day. Don't you hate when that happens? I mean, it just sounds... You have to give yourselves cute, fun options because life is stressful enough right now.
Exactly. And I'll probably be traveling a lot this month, so I'm looking for books that will get me going.
Yeah.
So
I'm checking to see what my next book is. And it's actually something that I think you have read before. I don't read a whole lot of poetry, but I figured I'd throw a poetry book on my list to challenge myself to get outside of my comfort zone a little bit. And also because, it's tiny. You could dunk this in your coffee. It's The Man with Night Sweats by Tom Gunn. You did read that, didn't you? Yeah.
It was good.
I think Jen the librarian had mentioned this. So we tracked down a copy and ordered it, and somehow you read it, but years later I haven't. So this is now the time to do it. It's a haunting depiction of a world ravaged by illness that is part elegy for those who have been lost and part evocation of the changes that await those who survive. I'm very excited about that, although it sounds sad. But, that's why our list is so all over the place. Again, you need fun, light things, and I have some fun, light things as well. So what do you have next?
My next one is going to be They Were Roommates by Paige Powers. It's two college roommates, and they become friends, but the one roommate has a secret, and he's hoping that his roommate doesn't recognize him because he just transitioned to be a male. Mm-hmm. And his roommate would remember him as a female from high school. But as they get together as friends, the one dude is trying to get the trans man to help him write letters to somebody, some sweetheart letters. And as they get to know each other through this, I think they start building feelings for each other.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was kind of an interesting play with a transgender character. And
yes. And I am going to be curious if you do read it. I would love to hear what you say about it, because honestly, I could easily be convinced to read that book. So you might be influencing me and my list.
I'm a bad influence.
Or a good one. It all depends on your perspective.
Exactly. So, what do you have?
My next one is something that we got at Powell's when we were in Portland for that conference at the end of September, beginning of October. It's The Love of Singular Men by Victor Herringer. I believe this is translated, but it doesn't have the name of a translator on the cover. Yeah, translated from the Portuguese by James Young. And it's a tiny little thing. You could dunk it in your coffee. I've been enjoying short books lately. In the suburbs of Rio de Janeiro, one summer in the 1970s, a family, a husband and wife, their daughter, and their crippled teenage son Camilo, take in an orphan named Cosme. The boys unexpectedly fall in love, but an act of violence shatters their intimate world and changes their lives forever. I'll skip the rest of the description, but
wow.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
Yeah. So I think actually someone from Powell's had recommended it. And when we got to the store, through their social media, had recommended it. And once we were in the store, I had to get a copy because that is what sparked my interest in reading the book. And here we are almost a year later and I haven't read it. But Pride Month is the perfect time to do it. Doesn't that sound good?
It does.
Yeah. So that is on my list. What do you have next?
Mine is Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Rosh. It's going to be the second book in a series. The first one I read was The Nightmare Before Christmas. And it's a little magical background world, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And so it's the first book was the Prince of Halloween and the Prince of Christmas get together. And so now we have the Prince of Easter and the Prince of St. Patrick's Day coming together. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
A little fun, a little craziness. So.
Yeah, the description that I pulled says, someone has been stealing Christmas's joy, and there's only one clue to the culprit, a single shamrock. And it's an enemies to lovers romance. Yeah. So I know you thought the first one was fun.
Right. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was the Christmas, because it's the straight brother from the Christmas series.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, so there's a plot twist.
There's a little twist. Now that I saw that, I remembered. I forgot the little plot twist there. So
yeah, that is quite a plot twist. All right. My next one is The Very Heart of It by Thomas Mallon.
What else has he done? Why do I know that name?
He wrote Fellow Travelers.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. And this was lovingly sent to me by Knopf, who kind of knew that I would be very interested in it. So yeah, Thomas Mallon is the writer of Fellow Travelers. He's also been a journalist. So this is New York Diaries, 1983 to 1994. In 1983, Thomas Mallon was still unknown. A literature professor at Vassar College, he spent his days traveling from Manhattan to campus, reviewing books to make ends meet, and searching the city for his own purpose and fulfillment. The AIDS epidemic was beginning to surge in New York City, the ever-bustling epicenter of literary culture and gay life, alive with parties, art, and sex. So it's about that time period in his life and him starting his career, but also dealing with a lot of trauma and activism. So it is a big book, but because it's journal entries and a lot of them are really short, like July 11th is just a single paragraph, it seems like it would be very readable. So I might do this just kind of here and there throughout the month and get a sense of it. It is released on June 3rd, 2025. So if you follow the link down below, it would be a pre-order link, but it sounds fascinating. So I'm very excited that Knopf sent that, because I didn't know about that book. They just sent it to me, and I'm really happy to have it. So
sweet.
What is your next one?
My next one is a proposal by Sonora Reyes. This sounds kind of silly. They're two best friends, and one is actually engaged to a woman. And when she breaks off the relationship because she says, pick me or him, apparently he picks him. But they're best friends. Well, then one is undocumented, and so they go into an arranged marriage to keep him in the country. Presumably, they're both straight, and then they find out more about each other as they get into this engagement.
Yeah,
So,
it sounds that way.
sounds
It
silly.
starts to become real.
This sounds silly, so I thought it'd be a fun read.
And Sonora Reyes was recently on my list of summer books to look forward to that are going to be published, because Sonora Reyes wrote The Lesbiana's Guide to Catholic School, which was a finalist for the National Book Award for Young People's Literature, and I haven't gotten around to. And there's a sequel to that book, or maybe not a direct sequel, but it takes a character from that book and gives him his own, called I don't remember, but it's something like the bipolar guide to something, and I'll link the video where I talk about that down below. But so yeah, good author to get to know.
Nice.
So yeah, what was my next book? On a Woman's Madness by Astrid Romer. I have a hold on this book at the library, and I don't know when it will become available. If it does during the month of June, and I'm in the mood for it, I would like to read it. It was on the long list for the International Booker Prize this year, and I had never heard of it before then. The description is strikingly translated by Lucy Scott. Astrid Romer's classic queer novel is a tentpole of European and post-colonial literature, and amid tales of plantation-dwelling snakes, rare orchids, and star-crossed lovers, it is also a blistering meditation on the cruelties we inflict on those who disobey. Which sounds fascinating. So there we go. What do you have?
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
My next one's going to be, spoiler alert, the hero dies in the end. It's a nonfiction book by Michael Ausiello.
Yeah. Who is a journalist and an entertainment journalist.
Yeah.
And anyway.
And he's an entertainment journalist, and he's doing all this work, and his professional life, he's out there. But in his personal life, nobody knows. His husband is dying of a pretty aggressive cancer. And so it's just their story. And I think it's going to be very devastating to read and sad.
Yeah.
But it's been on my list for a long time.
Yeah. And they did make a movie out of it with Jim Parsons.
Yeah.
But I know they made it. I have never really heard anything about it. So it's always good to start with the book anyway.
Maybe we'll watch the movie too.
Maybe. Yeah. Let's just be completists.
Yes.
So I didn't mention this, but I sort of have a theme for my Pride Month reading. Not really, because I don't do well with themes, but I have a couple of authors that have perpetually been on my pile of possibilities for Pride Month, like classic gay authors that I haven't gotten around to. And this Pride Month, I really want to, scratch at least two of them off of my list. And one of those authors is Paul Monette. You've read a Paul Monette book, but not this one. This is Becoming a Man.
I have not read that one.
But you've read one, and I really need to catch up with Paul Monette. This is Becoming a Man. Sorry, I almost choked on my own words for a second, which was a National Book Award winner. And It is, as I said, an author I really need to catch up to and read, and this is the one that most people recommend to me. I found this hardcover copy in our local used bookstore, and when you open it, somebody taped in Paul Monet's obituary, which is just a fun...
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fun, but it's one reason used books can be fun, because it's so interesting to see how people cared for books in the past. I do have a paperback version of it, and I'll probably read that one. But this is a memoir. There's a blurb from it. 46 now and dying by inches. I finally see how our lives align at the core, if not in the sorry details. I still shiver with a kind of astonished delight when a gay brother or sister tells of that narrow escape from the coffin world of the closet. So that's a quote from the book, and it's a memoir. I believe he ended up dying of complications from AIDS. I could be wrong about that, but I think he did.
I think he did.
And it's just an author I really need to read. So he is one of the authors that have been perpetually on my pile of possibilities, and one of the ones that I really like to get to this Pride Month in particular.
I like his writing. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, just from that quote, it sounds like a beautiful writer.
Yeah. So all his books are very sad. They're based around AIDS. So
yeah.
My next one is The Survivor Wants to Die in the End.
You are a big fan of that series.
And it's Adam Silvera, who it's a series. It's going to be the third in the series. And I'm really looking forward to it. The first one was They Both Die in the End, and then The First to Die in the End.
Which was kind of a prequel, right?
Prequel, yeah. So it's based in a universe of Deathcast, where you get a phone call saying, you're going to die today. So it's for you to go out and live the rest of your life the way you want. And so this one is one of the characters is tired of waiting to die, and so he says, I'm just going to beat it. And I think there's a suicide element in this, but then he's rescued by another guy, and that other guy is a heir to the Deathcast fortune.
Oh, twist.
Yeah, so it should be very interesting. I've really been looking forward to this.
Yeah.
And Adam Silvera has been pumping it up a lot lately.
Yeah.
So it should be a fun book.
And is this the one that you were thinking of doing on the plane at the end of June?
Yes.
Yeah.
As we're going to fly back to New York City to see your family and nieces and nephews.
And go ahead.
And your niece is a big fan of this series.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to read it and then talk to her about it. So,
yeah. We sent her a copy for her birthday.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see if she's read it by now. But that would be a fun thing for you to talk about. And actually, I forgot to put it on my list. So I'm going to interrupt because you're actually reading the book that I'm going to read on the plane, and it is Pride appropriate, and it's Alison Cochrane.
Yes.
Every Step She Takes.
Every step she takes.
Yeah. So we have early access to that. That would also be a pre-order if you follow the link down below. We have loved everything that Alison Cochrane has published.
Yeah.
And you're currently reading it.
I'm currently reading it.
And enjoying, it seems like.
It's very early in the book, but it's cute.
Yeah. So once he's going to read it in May, I'm gonna save it for the plane ride because I figure it's an e-galley that we have access to, and I am weirdly anti reading a book on my phone, but it'll be much easier to read a book on my phone on the plane. Yeah. So that's what I'm planning.
Easier for your luggage too.
Yeah, it is. Do you want me to go again?
Sure, I'm pretty much done.
All right, so...
And this is one I do want to read.
Oh, yeah. So Runaway with Me by Brian Selznick. We got this advanced reader's copy of it when we were at that conference in September and October. I have read 2 of Brian Selznick's books. I am completely... it's The Invention of Hugo Cabret. That is a great book. And it is, if you know Brian Selznick, not Seltzer. Oh my God, I'm a mess.
You're my mess.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So Brian Selznick does really beautiful illustrated books, and The Invention of Hugo Cabret is one of them. Wonderstruck is the other one that I read, and I thought it was just okay. I wasn't as big on it as The Invention of Hugo Cabret, but I'm really excited about this one. And when he spoke, he said he wanted to just write a book, like a young adult book, and his agent or editor basically said, absolutely not. You have to do illustrations. So the compromise that they came to is that the beginning of the book opens with illustrations, then you transition into text, and then it ends with illustrations as well.
Illustrations are great in that too.
Oh, they are absolutely gorgeous. Let me just randomly pull one up that doesn't have a nipple. There we go. So that's a great 2-page spread. And so there are no words in the first portion where there are illustrations, and I imagine it's the same for the end.
So it's a pretty thin book once you get down to...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the illustration part will just fly.
Yeah.
So should be pretty doable for the month of June.
Yeah, I think I may do this. The font is really small for me, but I may give it a good try.
Yeah. So we'll see.
But tell us what it's about.
Oh, right. That.
Because it sounds really interesting.
So Danny is 16 and spending his summer in Rome. As his mother works all day in a museum dedicated to the preservation of books, he wanders the city's ancient lonely streets, not really sure what he's looking for, until a voice calls to him, and a strange, beautiful boy steps into his life, Angelo. And then it goes from there. It just sounds adorable. And
we know Creepy Alley and Rome's can bring a lot of good stuff to your life.
yes, our rule for Italy was the creepier the alley, the better the food.
Yeah.
And that is true.
You had a carbonara that changed your life.
I did, in a creepy alley. It was right next to 2 different bookstores.
Yeah.
So that is actually what brought us into the creepy alley, but that is what taught us the rule.
Yeah.
Creepier the alley, the better the food in Italy. So do you want me to go again, or do you want to...
I'm done.
Oh, you're done?
Yeah.
Okay. So my next one is another author that I have perpetually had on my pile of possibilities, not just in Pride Month, but outside, and I need to read his books. Cholmeley. So I pulled 2 because it's kind of going to depend which one I'm in the mood for. The Blackwater Lightship is a very sad book from everything I've heard. It deals with a mother, a sister, and a grandmother, I believe, caring for the brother or the son or the grandson who is dying of AIDS. And it just sounds very sad. But it is the book that I have constantly told myself I would like to start reading Colm Tabeen's books with. So it's the one I would like to read to start working on his canon of literature. But if I'm really not in the mood for something sad and depressing, I also really want to read Brooklyn. Now, Brooklyn does not have a queer component to the story, but Colm Tabeen is a gay man, so it would still qualify. And I saw the movie with my mother, and I don't remember much about the movie because she was offended about the portrayal of Italian Americans in a way that was not really on base, in my opinion. But so I would really like to read this book. It's about an Irish woman who immigrates to the United States, meets a man, and then has to go back to Ireland for some reason. And there's a man that she had left behind. So she basically has to decide where her future lies. And there's a sequel to this book called Long Island that I would also like to read, but I would want to read Brooklyn first. So we'll see. I really think Colm Tabeen is an author that I'm going to prioritize in June because he's also such a charming man.
He is.
He does videos for the Irish library system where he interviews authors, and he's just so adorable. So I would really like to make sure I start working on his books. And then to round out my list of physical books that I will like to get to is another author I really need to start reading, and a book I need to read. A Boy's Own Story by Edmund White. Edmund White is a classic gay author, and A Boy's Own Story is a classic gay book. It was published, let's find the copyright, in 1982. So this book is as old as I am. And it's an early gay book. It's been like a cult favorite for a long time. It's the first installment of a trilogy that is sort of semi-autobiographical. And in this installment, it's more about his childhood, hence A Boy's Own Story, where he feels alienated and like he doesn't fit in with the other boys. And it's been on my list for years at this point. So hopefully I will get that one crossed off my list as well. I separated out some audiobooks, and I think you actually have The Lilac People on your list as well.
It's something I want to do. If you enjoy it, I'll probably go off your lead on that.
Yeah, let me pull up the description of it. And it fits in with trans subjects and things like that. So it's another perspective and part of the LGBTQIA spectrum that I would like to cover in the month of June. So it is a moving and deeply humane story about a trans man who must relinquish the freedoms of pre-war Berlin to survive first the Nazis and then the Allies while protecting the ones he loves. And Christine Baker Klein says it reclaims a powerful piece of trans history. So that, I think, is also something I'm definitely going to do. We have access to the audio of it, so I think that's how we would both read it.
And I'd probably do it, so.
Yeah, so that is absolutely something I would love to read. The next one is Mutual Interest by Olivia Wolfgang Smith. So that one was recommended by Lindsay Lynch, who works at Parnassus, which is Ann Patchett's bookstore in Nashville. Lindsay Lynch also wrote a great book called Do Tell. I love that book.
Loved it.
I did. I keep talking about it, don't I?
Yeah. I need to do it someday.
Yeah, it's a good book. And she talked about Mutual Interest when it was published, I think back in February, and said she really loved it. And it sounds fascinating. So for this one, I'm going to read you a blurb from Electric Literature. And they say, Hernan Diaz's trust, but make it gay? ? Which is really intriguing. So that already had me like really curious to jump in, but it's also from this Electric Literature quote, an epic and intimate tale of three secretly queer aspiring business titans who band together and, in the case of two of them, marry to build an empire. So
sounds fun,
right?
Yeah.
And we have access to the audio. So again, that's why it would be something that I would do on audio. I have a hold on Libby on I Will Greet the Sun Again by Kashayer Kabushani. And assuming it becomes available in June, I would love to read that book as well. It's described as a stunning, tender novel of identity and belonging. I Will Greet the Sun Again tells the story of a young man lost in his own family, his own country, and his own skin. Staring down the brutality of being a queer kid and a Muslim in America, Kashayer Kabushani transforms personal and national pain into an unforgettable and beautifully rendered exploration of youth, love, family, and the stories that make us who we are. And I think you can see why I'm interested in that one. We also have access to the audio of Flirting Lessons by Jasmine Guillory. She usually writes straight romances. I don't know that she herself is part of the queer community, but she wrote a lesbian romance, and I'm here for lesbian romances. Alison Cochran would certainly fit that bill. So I'm throwing it on my list. Avery Jensen is almost 30, fresh off a breakup, and she's tired of always being so uptight and well-behaved. She wants to get a hobby, date around, especially women, flirt with everyone she sees, wear something not from the business casual section of her closet, and all the fun stuff normal people do in their 20s. One problem: Avery doesn't know where to start. She doesn't have a lot of dating experience with men or women, and despite being self-assured at work, she doesn't have a lot of confidence when it comes to romance. Enter Taylor Cameron, Napa Valley's biggest flirt and champion heartbreaker. And I'm sure sparks fly from it. Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah, it does.
Cute. It sounds really fun and cute. So that's on there. And then Futbolista by Johnny Garzavilla. Again, I think audio is definitely a place I'm going to lean on. A lot of the more fun queer books and romances. So this one is a sports romance for those who keep rewatching Bend It Like Beckham and rereading Red, White, and Royal Blue. And the incredible collection of queer football romances out there, Futbolista follows the first semester of one guy's freshman year of college, navigating who he is, who he's allowed to be, and who he wants to be. And I believe it's another thing where when he goes to college, he believes that he is straight, and then he meets someone, becomes very close with them, and develops feelings for him. So it's
fun.
A little bit about self-discovery as well.
Yeah.
And the final book, I'll probably do it on audio, but Days Without End by Sebastian Barry. I really need to read Sebastian Barry. I don't know that he's gay. I think most of his books are straight, but this one has a queer element to it. Thomas McNulty, aged barely 17 and having fled the Great Famine in Ireland, signs up for the U.S. Army in the 1850s. With his brother-in-arms, John Cole, Thomas goes on to fight in the Indian Wars against the Sioux and the Yurok and ultimately the Civil War. Orphans of terrible hardships themselves, the men find these days to be vivid and alive despite the horrors they see and are complicit in. Moving from the plains of Wyoming to Tennessee, Days Without End is a masterpiece of atmosphere and language and a haunting portrait of the most fateful years in American history. And I assume sort of Brokeback Mountain style.
Yeah.
They start having a relationship as they're going about doing all of these things. And it was... It is very well regarded. It was longlisted for the Booker Prize back when it was called the Man Booker Prize, and it's going on my list for that reason. So, that's a whole bunch of gay books.
It is.
We have some honorable mentions, actually. We completely forgot to mention that.
I know. These two?
Yeah, so these were originally on his and my pile of possibilities for Pride Month.
I don't think we could wait.
No, we really could not.
We really had to do this.
At all. The Stand-In Dad by Alex Summers. So I got this with the full intention of reading it in June, but I couldn't wait. And then we realized, although the publication date for the book is May 27th, we were sent this copy by Avon. Thank you, Avon.
Thanks, Avon.
And the audio is out now. So I'm reading the physical book. Joel is listening to the audio right now.
Yeah.
And I am, how many pages in am I?
Which I need to catch up.
I'm 73 pages in, and I love it so far. This landed on our radar because it was described as for lovers of Matt Cain and Ryan Love. And Ryan Love only has one book, but we both really enjoyed it. Arthur and Teddy are coming out.
Yeah.
And what do we think of Matt Cain?
We love Matt Cain. Yeah. He did Albert Antwhistle.
Yeah. And Becoming Ted. Both so good.
So great.
So great.
Two really good books if you need some more examples for Pride reading.
That's right. Yes, if you haven't read them, do it. Do it. One Love is a book that I think we both didn't love, but we had a really interesting time talking about.
For a long time.
For a long time still. Like, we could rehash that right now, and it would be fun.
It's a very complicated relationship between these two men.
Yes.
And the more we really talked about it, it just really unhashed a lot of new feelings for it. So it was interesting.
So The Stand-In Dad, it's magical. I am like having all the feelings.
Tell me what it's about.
So basically, Meg, this woman right here, is a lesbian, and she is getting married. And she goes to the flower shop owned by David, this guy, because she's supposed to meet her parents there to look at flowers for the wedding. But her parents no-show, and they don't provide any explanation. They have had a very tough time accepting that she is a lesbian, so the implication is they can't deal with her having a lesbian wedding. So she's outside the flower shop. She starts crying. David comes out, asks her what's wrong, invites her into the store. She tells him all about it, and he says, "Why don't you just take me with you?" And he agrees to go to her cake tasting the following week and to go like dress shopping and help her navigate, because she's never planned a wedding before. He has a partner, but he hasn't been married. So he's like, it'll be fun for me. And he wants to get to know other gay-owned businesses in his area. So they just decide to do all of this together. And he's sort of standing in as her father, as like someone who's going to do this with her and support her in the process the way a parent would. And it's just delightful.
It's really sweet so far.
Yes.
And I love the writing, and just David sounds like this wonderful person. And Meg is just a little sweetheart.
Wait until you meet David's husband. He's the same.
I know.
So it's going to be, it's so good. It's so good. I'm so in. Yeah. So highly recommend this. It had to come off of our pile of possibilities because we're both doing it now, but if you're interested, do it. I also had Once Upon a Tome by Oliver Darkshire on my pile of possibilities, and I realized the audio didn't have a long wait list, so I thought it would come available in June, but it came available. I don't know what happened. There were like 10 people ahead of me, and suddenly in a week it was available. So I just decided to do it. This is The Misadventures of a Rare Bookseller. And Oliver Darkshire, the author, reads the audiobook, and he has a great voice for it. So this is not queer in content, but he is a gay man. He's married to a man, so again, it qualifies for Pride Month. And basically, it is about him as a young man getting a job as an apprentice at an antiquarian bookstore called Sutherland's in the UK. And him learning all of the quirks of being an antiquarian bookseller, all of the customers and their weird habits and the weird habits and proclivities of the people he works with. And it's just really fun. So I'm really enjoying the audio of this book. So again, it was originally on my pile of possibilities, but I couldn't wait once the audio became available. So
Awesome.
So now we're done.
Yeah.
That's a whole lot of gay books. And again, I would invite you to let us know what you will be reading and what's on your pile of possibilities for Pride Month. If you have recommendations based on what we've been interested in, let us know in the comment section down below. Let's see what we actually get to in the month of June. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully going to get to most of them.
Yeah, hopefully.
Some of them.
I by God, I will be able to cross at least 2 of my long-standing.
You need to do a Monette. So
I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. So I think the most likely ones are Colm Tabine and Paul Monette
Awesome.
in June. But we'll see if I can also get Edmund White. Anyway, as always, we really appreciate your time, and we will be back. Until next time, happy reading.
Happy baking.